Good Tuesday to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to today's European Outlook. While the Atlantic is fairly quiet at this moment in time, still we do have some rumblings in the models, development showing up, and it's all attributed to the MJO continuing to progress eastwards. We've been seeing a Kelvin wave continue to track eastwards across the Pacific Ocean. That is changing the dynamics further north over North America, the Atlantic, and into the west of Europe as well. And we obviously have seen a fairly fundamental change in the overall pattern. Now, I still think that we are going to see building pressure, warmer, drier signal end of week 1 into week 2 of August. But we also have the opportunity for a potential storm system moving in across the UK as we progress into next week. So the early portions of August looking very interesting. But you can see this is the vertical velocity potential. You can see the greens representing rising motion, the oranges representing subsidence. And as we play out of the month of July into the month of August, you can see those greens now entering the Atlantic, still showing some subsidence over the west of Europe here. But it's what influence that is having on the jet stream that is quite important. This is the ECMWF for Monday, the 4th of August, and it's showing a rather deep and compact area of low pressure that originates over the other side of the Atlantic, over North America, rides a strengthening jet, and that strengthening jet is likely attributed to the eastward progress of the MJO that activates a stronger jet further north, as the energy then translates heat and emits heat up into the upper atmosphere, and then there's divergence aloft, and then that sends energy that propagates waves through the atmosphere. And with a stronger jet, the position of the high over the Azores, we have got the recipe with a contrast in air mass to generate a fairly deep area of low pressure. And this has also been part of the summer forecast overall, that we would have this variable lean towards warmer and drier, yes, but the opportunity of some unusually deep areas of low pressure, high pressure, heavy rainfall events, dry conditions. It was always said here on this channel at the end of May, when I released the summer forecast, that this would be a highly variable summer. And, this is another tick on the list of things that I thought would take place during the summer months. So if you look at the jet stream winds here, you can see as we move out of July into the month of August, with high pressure centered to the south here, generally lower pressure to the north, you can see here this feature that develops essentially right over the southeastern United States. We've got relatively slack winds at jet stream level as of tomorrow across the Atlantic. We have got an area of high pressure bringing some fairly warm and dry conditions across the west of Europe here. But it's as we see this enhanced upward motion to the south over the East Pacific, we are seeing tropical systems. We'll look at that in a second here. But it's as this energy moves eastwards, that is going to then influence the jet to the north. And that feature that originates over Georgia and South Carolina lifts north, engages with the jet, strengthens that jet because it's actually lifting a lot of warmth out of the subtropics up into the temperate regions, strengthens the jet. The position of the high over the Azores is important. That is going to allow this channel of strengthening winds and cyclogenesis to develop here. And watch what happens through the course of the weekend here. As that jet stream strengthens, the area of low pressure then moves north of the jet, and then it then crosses into the cold side, which is the development side of the jet here. It enters the right entrance and exits the left exit region of the jet. Look at how strong these winds are on the southern side of that low, and the result of that is rather interesting. You can see here as we play through this loop, again, we're strengthening the winds on the north side of the high. Then that feature then comes into view of the model. This is the GFS interpretation, and then it crosses over the Atlantic to the north of the high and into the northern side of the UK here. This could be a significant wind maker actually for the UK here. Again, still a long way off. We're only on Tuesday. This is a model interpretation for pretty much a week away, and there will be lots of variation in terms of the overall outcome, but it's interesting nonetheless what the models are showing. That's the GFS for Monday next week. This is the ECMWF for Monday next week. You notice here a pressure difference of around 10 millibars, 994 off the GFS, 983 off the ECM. So the ECM is much deeper with that area of low pressure. But the general overall background of this is fairly, makes a lot of sense because we obviously have a lot of warm air trapped beneath that high. We've got the colder air across the north. We've got the eastward progress of the MJO. This would certainly make a lot of sense. Remember, you've got a lot of warm waters here, and you've also got a contrast here between warm and cold that can also enhance the jet strength as well. So let's have a quick look at the latest SSTs here in terms of temperature anomalies. I want to draw your attention to this here. We've got a lot of warmth. We've got a little pocket of cool over the central North Atlantic here. We've got plenty of warm waters surrounding. This could enhance that area of low pressure and deepen it. Could also produce much more in the way of rainfall, even though it moves through relatively quickly. If, and it's a big if, it materializes, that's another factor to take into consideration. But the MJO moving through the Pacific is enhancing the tropical cyclone activity within the Pacific Basin, for example. Nothing in the Atlantic scene of the NHC for the next 7 days. But if you look at the East Pacific, we've got the 3, 4, 5 systems to speak about here. We've got two areas, one at 90%, another at 30%. We've got another one out over the Central Pacific. This is the first time we've started to see the Central Pacific become more active as well. There's a system here that's got a 60% chance. Then we've got the Kelly. That is now a tropical storm Kelly, 40 mile per hour, sustained winds, pressure at 1,006 millibars. And then we've seen Category 3 Iona almost pop out of nowhere, it has to be said. And that's kind of slightly caught me off guard. I didn't actually realize until I looked at the social media that we've got a major hurricane in the central portion of the Pacific south of Hawaii. But it makes sense given the MJO and the eastward progress of that. And I think we are going to start to see the Atlantic tick up in terms of activity. I want to also just draw your attention quickly to the way the model is indicating and interpreting this system. Through the course of the weekend, it's again over the southeastern half of the United States. Let's skip back, and you can see where it originates. It originates actually over the southeast US, where they've got a lot of heat and moisture. That is going to then draw on that warm, humid fuel. The source region, remember what the source region is. It's in a warm, humid environment. And again, with that pulse of enhanced convection moving out of the Pacific through the Americas and into the West Atlantic Basin, that then generates a stronger jet, lifts that area of low pressure up into the jet, and then it shoots across the north side of the Bermuda Azores High and into the UK. It'll be interesting to see exactly where this system winds up. Will it go further south? Will it go further north? Will it miss the UK altogether? These are all questions that will be eventually answered. But instead of talking about the usual stuff, we have a relatively typical end of the month of July. Could be a fairly atypical beginning to the month of August. But as I've said already, I still believe higher pressure is going to build over the UK and Ireland as we move out of week 1 into week 2 of August here. But generally speaking, it's a fairly textbook end of the month of July for western areas of Europe. That's it for today. Do check out at your leisure. There is links in the description below for the past weekend's content if you want to look back on that. And hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you all being well tomorrow with more. Bye for now.